The Knicks win on opening night. They defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers 119-111 as we begin the Mike Brown regime with a victory. And this has Knicks fans fired up across Knicks Nation, as it was 11 players in our rotation contributing to the victory. Of course, going into last night's game, a lot of the story was about the availability of players on both teams, Cleveland being without their starting point guard, Darius Garland, also DeAndre Hunter, their wing defender, 3-and-D wing defender, and also Max Strus, their three-point specialist, was not available. But also the Knicks were without Mitchell Robinson, who was dealing with an ankle injury, and Josh Hart, who was out with a back injury. Josh Hart being a spark plug off the bench this year. A lot of identity of the team is built into the way he plays, and he sells out in the hustle department for this team. And also Mitchell Robinson's a huge defensive anchor. He's a big part of our scheme. So both teams, with their sights set on June, had to temper their expectations in terms of the product, but it was an intense game, and I want to talk about it. And I also want to talk about these injuries and what it really means for the Mike Brown era, and why fans should maybe temper their moods when they inevitably see a guy take a night off. So last night, obviously, Ariel Hukporti starting in place of Mitchell Robinson. I know that the Knicks were down 10-5 at one point, but they quickly answered, and I thought Ariel Hukporti was a big part of that, playing well on the glass early, getting a block early, being involved in the offense. He had a nice pass to Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns, who picked up 2 fouls early. He was quickly replaced by Guerschon Yabusele. Fun fact for this season, Guerschon Yabusele, first player off the bench. But it was guys like OG Anunoby early on hitting some shots. Mikal Bridges hit some shots. He was active in the defensive side of the ball, getting steals, open layups. And then the Knicks bench, led by Miles McBride. Miles McBride had a couple big threes. He actually had a big sequence in the second quarter. The Knicks pulled away early in the first. They took a 10-point lead into the second quarter, and they got the lead up to as much as 15. But then the Cavs came storming back. They went on a 14-2 run, and the score was 44-43. And I thought early on this was a huge turning point in the game. Miles McBride hits a three to make it 47-43, a tough contested three. And then Landry Shamet goes on a personal 6-0 run, and the Knicks get the lead back out to 15. In the third quarter, Donovan Mitchell showed why he is a superstar. And a lot of people are, they're going to rag him for his playoff performances, not being able to get to that next step. But he is definitely a superstar talent, and he showed it last night. He absolutely erupted in the third quarter and actually gave the Cleveland Cavaliers a 1-point lead. But it was Mike Brown and his bench, led by Karl-Anthony Towns, who had a huge and-one, and Miles McBride with a three to extend the lead to 6. And the Knicks pulled away in the fourth quarter and eventually won the game. And Jalen Brunson, he had some struggles with his shooting, but I did like where he was on the court. He had an open three early on. The first possession of the game for the Knicks was a wide open three off a hockey assist by Hukporti, passing to Towns on the wing, and then Brunson in the corner. And we're going to get a lot of off-ball looks like that for Jalen Brunson. I thought the ball movement was great for this team. And one of the things I wanted to highlight here, just to put things in perspective for Knicks fans, is look at the 7 players outside of Brunson, Mikal, OG, and Cat. We're talking. This is going off the top of my head. We got Hukporti, Jamison. You got Kolek, Clarkson, Yabusele, McBride, and Shamet. Those are 7 players in addition to the 4. So that's 11 players in the rotation last night. Now, I'm not including, obviously, Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson, who were out. But those 7 players, okay, I'm going to go through them again. Hukporti, Jamison, Kolek, Clarkson, Yabusele, Shamet, and McBride. Those 7 players, their combined annual salary is underneath $21 million. It's $20 million and change. This is why Mike Brown was hired, because you can give a guy a night off. You can rest some of these starters, as You try to get a little variety in your lineups. You try to search around your roster and see what you actually have. And you try to keep your players healthy for a 2-month grueling playoff stretch in April, May, and June. This is why Mike Brown is here. None of us going into last night really expected Tyler Kolek to get in the game. And then you look up and he's playing a huge part in the rotation. And I thought it was a little strategic there by Mike Brown. You're going to see, it looks like Tyler Kolek and Karl Anthony Towns, that's going to be a connection, feeding the big fella, getting him in his spots. That was a big conversation during the playoffs. So I actually thought Kolek came in. He had some good energy. And then, I think a lot of the guys are still a little bit rusty. The reads were there, the progressions were there, but the just the muscle memory and just the quick twitch just seemed to be a little bit off there. But I liked how Kolek got Karl Anthony Towns the ball in the fourth quarter, late in the third, and helped the Knicks to victory. And I like the energy that guys like Trey Jameson brought, just being a body. And these are the types of players that we didn't necessarily even think could be possible to be played. But these are the guys at the end of your rotation that help move the game along and keep everybody fresh. I thought Landry Shamet had a huge second quarter run. I thought his defensive activity, while he was getting cooked by Donovan Mitchell, I thought he was playing hard. And I think that counts. I think that level of consistency, that level of activity helps. I thought Miles McBride obviously was the best player off the bench. He had huge three after huge three late in the game. I think the Knicks were up 3. I think it was 92-89. And then McBride had that 3 to give us the 95-89 lead. And then his defense was tremendous. He had a sequence where they were trapped on they created a trap on the wing, and Mitchell dropped the ball, and then McBride dived on it, and then it turned out to be a Jordan Clarkson dunk into a timeout. Kenny Atkinson was calling timeouts all night, frustrated at the lapses on the side of the basketball for Cleveland, who did play a good game. I thought they showed a good resolve without a lot of their key rotation players. I thought Sam Merrill, who chipped in with 19 points, he was knocking down a lot of threes. I was impressed with Tyrese Proctor. I thought Lonzo Ball was a little bit too free with the threes for me. But I thought he was good. I thought Proctor was good. Jalen Tyson probably not ready to play those amount of minutes, but a lot of talk came into the game about Mitchell Robinson being out, and Knicks fans saying, hey, this guy's always injured. We can't rely on him. Let's trade him. I would like to remind you guys that Jared Allen last night, who's going to get paid $28, $30, and $32 million over the next 3 years, had a whopping 4 points and 4 rebounds last night in 28 minutes of play with a -4 in the plus minus. So I just like the mere idea of having Mitchell Robinson healthy, to me, is better than a guaranteed Jared Allen health with his contract. So let's just, try to put some of these things in perspective, because Ariel Hukporti was just as impactful as Jared Allen last night. Okay. So we can survive some of these injuries. Okay. Josh Hart was out. I thought we had all the energy that we needed. It wasn't like Josh Hart was out and we missed his energy. Does it help us when he's there? Of course. Is he an active defensive player? Is he an active rebounder? Absolutely. I thought that the Knicks picked up on the rebounding department, especially I looked up at the stats, and you'll see it below. OG Anunoby with 14 rebounds. Was the last time OG Anunoby had a double-double with 24 and 14. He was absolutely a monster. And, this team is showing you why Mike Brown is the coach. Leon Rose trying to stay underneath that second apron. Now he looks like even more of a wizard. He looks like even more of a chef there at the top in the front office. These guys, scouting the draft, second round picks, Ariel Hukporti, last pick in a draft, right? Trey Jameson being brought in on a contract in training camp. Landry Shamet, back-to-back seasons of these Exhibit 10 deals. Tyler Kolek, a second-round pick. There was times last year where Tyler Kolek was the second guard remaining on a healthy roster. No McBride, no Brunson, no Payne, and we could barely see him. We saw him for the same amount of minutes when all those guys were hurt, with Brunson, with Clarkson, with McBride. We saw Kolek for 14 minutes last night. So all your whys as to how we're here in terms of Mike Brown instead of Tibbs, they were exemplified last night, not just during the game, before the game, with the load management. So, we are in a very good spot. Knicks fans are fired up about this outcome. And Jalen Brunson didn't even have, close to his best game. He didn't even have an average game. And you didn't really feel it because everybody was chipping in. And we had a good opening night, a lot of good signs. As Mike Brown alluded in his post game, there's so much room to grow. So next game for the Knicks, where they try to make their improvements, and the NBA was on fire last night. The NBA, there was a lot of talk about the NBA, whether, the product, people are concerned who's going to be the face. So a lot of young players last night. Victor Wembanyama versus Cooper Flagg. You had VJ Edgecombe going off for 30 points. Sorry, Jay from Florida. I'm sorry. He's the next D Wade. I'm sorry. You got me. My apologies. VJ Edgecombe taking on Boston, scoring 33 points. Maxey in that backcourt. The NBA is in a good spot, actually. So I'm really excited about these games. The Knicks have their next game Friday night against the Boston Celtics, still at home in Madison Square Garden before they take off to South Beach and play Miami on Sunday. So the Knicks start their season 1-0. I advise you to go out and check the other videos on this channel where I talk about the injuries to Hart and Robinson, as they are still relevant, as they still are projected to miss some time, according to Shams Charania of ESPN. And this game, this podcast, recapping last night's game, leads into that podcast because it's time to calm down. It's time to relax. This is a new regime. We can handle an injury here and there. And by the way, if you think it's just going to be Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson who's going to get a night off here and there, you're fooled. It'll be Brunson. It'll be Cat. It'll be Miles McBride. All right? It'll be Yabusele. It'll be this player. It'll be that player and you didn't even see Diawara last night. You didn't even see Pacome Dadier last night. The Knicks are deep. Enjoy the season and enjoy your Knicks podcast. Let's go Knicks.